I recorded a long video last night. There's so much left I don't want to forget about. There's more. I've condensed days worth of information into a very short summary, and there are just things I've forgotten 4 months later. Um, and I realized in my last video that I mentioned that I got a special communion at the Mormon church. Um, but I didn't say what happened after that. It wasn't even in my journal. This is crazy. How could I not put this in there? Um, so I recorded last time about the special communion when I came in. One of the people there was flustered and upset. They were visibly angry when they saw me because I showed up late. And it's like they were holding it off. They were waiting to do the communion until I got there. Because I didn't go to that church the last week or so. I was going to some different churches. And this is when they were pressuring me to get baptized. And I said, I have to go. And I was going to go do some things and see if this was the right place to be baptized. So then I went to some different churches. And then I didn't tell them. They wanted to know if I was going to be there this weekend. I didn't tell them if I was or not. So I don't know. I said maybe or something. I don't remember. But then I ended up showing up. They didn't know if I was going to come or not. But they had a special communion just in case I showed up. And then they told there were some young boys and made sure the young boys gave me, like they gave them a whole new thing with bread and water and told them to give it to me. I'm not saying the children knew what was going on. I'm saying as I saw the adult man give them a special communion plate and tell them to give it, those people over there. And that's the section where I was sitting. So it was just me. What happened is I was drugged, but it wasn't anything that bad. I think it was a spell. So, what I think it was, because they wanted to make sure it kicked in. I was speaking to the male Mormon missionaries. They were the ones that came to my house. And they had sent a male counterfeit at the Mormon church. They went and found a guy who was fairly attractive. He had a suit and tie, and came to the church when I was there and was talking to me and pretending to be interested in me. So they brought this man there, who clearly was a counterfeit in an attempt to date me. I did not take the bait. I talked to him nicely, but I was not going to take this bait. So they sent him a few times. This didn't work. So this is the point. This is the reason why I was drugged. So it might have been some type of truth serum, but I think this was a love magic spell. So it could have been a truth serum or a love magic spell. Because after they gave it to me, then they said, well, have you talked to our female missionaries today? And they were like, 30 feet up, but they were talking to someone else. And I said, well, when they're done, then they can talk to you. So I think they were waiting for whatever was in my communion to kick in. So they put something in the water, and they were waiting for that to work. So they waited like 10 or 15 minutes or something, and then we met. So they had two young, I think they were like 19, blonde women. So they just brought in. So the church was very male dominated. And I did have some discussions, like just where I mentioned some things. I try to mention it politely, as that's the proper way to do things in the beginning. So then they actually brought in female missionaries. And then I now see on Facebook, they have ads with female Mormon missionaries. So I don't know if this was widely practiced before, but they did this for me. So this is what happened. They sent a pretty attractive man, maybe in his 30s, in a suit and tie, sitting next to me. Making sure there's a seat next to me so he can sit next to me, talking to me, being interested in me. Clearly, he didn't make any moves, but it was clear that had I expressed any interest, that he would have. This didn't work, and I also mentioned it to the missionaries. I said they brought him in to be a counterfeit. I said, do you know who this man is? I told the missionaries. So they brought him in from Utah. They brought in a man from Utah. Let's find an attractive one and put him in a suit and bring him here. I don't know If he's single, maybe he's got some wife back in Utah. I don't know. But that doesn't have anything to do with it. They keep sending counterfeits. And so that didn't work. I mentioned it to the missionaries. I talked to them in a platonic way. There is nothing at all. There is no romantic interest there at all. So they brought in two young women. They brought in two young women. So they drugged me with the communion. They waited for it to kick in. It was very obvious. And then it's, oh, they're ready to meet with you now. And then I go up. And then they're kind of batting their eyes a little bit. They're kind of batting their eyes at me a little bit. And then, I did not take this bait. And I'm telling them, oh, you guys, I told them about the soup kitchen, and there's a lot of disbelievers because they're missionaries, and I suggested they go here. And I said the guys didn't want to go to the soup kitchen. Maybe the women will. So then I'm talking to them about places they can go if they're missionaries, where there's a lot of disbelievers. And then they're just kind of like, it wasn't much, but they were batting their eyes a little. So I understood what this was. They thought, she's not taking, here's a man in a suit. She is not interested in this. So they went and got two female missionaries and brought them to the church. And I am not attracted. This is not my thing either. Okay. So anyways, yes, they were beautiful young women. But anyway, I was trying to just speak about missionary stuff. Like, oh, you can go here and this. And, I said the boys don't want to go to the soup kitchen. But, so to me it was obvious. They were trying to hit on me. But they didn't press anything. But I just saw the look in the eyes. And there was also another man sitting a row or so behind. It was right there. So he was probably watching to see if anything happened. Nothing happened. I suggested for them to go to the soup kitchen, just like I mentioned to the boys. And their leadership did not allow them to go to the soup kitchen. Said we got a lot of disbelievers. They don't have money. We got some homeless people. We got some addicts. They actually need to be ministered to. And I told them where to go, and they weren't interested. So maybe the young people actually sounded interested, but then their hierarchy told them not to go. So their hierarchy would not let them go to these places. And so then I was just talking to the women about what they could do to reach more souls. And then it was clear this wasn't going to work. So they probably stayed there for a little while before they went back. They probably stayed like a couple weeks or something. But now, when you go to Facebook, there are female Mormon missionary videos. And this is because of me. Because the Lord has risen up prophets in the end times. And some of us are women. And now, as I said before, it's too little too late. But now you got some female missionaries. And they're finally starting to make some changes. Giving them more respectable names. Giving them authority over children. And allowing them to be missionaries or something at a younger age. I don't know. And I asked them if they did female missionaries before. They acted like they did, but it just not very often or something. I don't know. But I do know when I go to Facebook and they show me videos, it's all over. So I think they just started this. So no, I will not accept your male counterfeits, and I will not accept your female counterfeits either. So this was funny. No, I didn't accept it. And I also told them some things God had revealed to me, which a lot of churches and things don't know, or they know and they don't tell people about creation. So, and they seem to agree with it, but it goes against their teachings and their doctrines, so that's not good. Anyways, that was the other day. So I'm going to try to get through more of this. Good dogs give them a treat. Oh, there's this charity where they have music classes and they give you instruments after you go so many times. And the woman that worked there was like, you can ask me anything. Cause it's this is like in a video game. I got to ask her for anything and I got one favor. And I got one thing from her. So, I asked her for something silly. Actually, it wasn't very useful. But I never did get that yet, so maybe I can make a different wish when I see her again. It's been quite a while. I was going to these music class. They're not really classes, but they did print out some sheet music for different songs, and it got me to try new things I never did before. So that actually was a breakthrough. But anyways, I was enjoying these. I really liked to go. And then these young men started to come in, and one I saw was an enemy. He had an evil look on his face. And they came in, and they were taking up all the attentions of the people running this place, and then playing very loud. So then I knew it's my time to go, because here I'm playing by myself. They use witchcraft to alienate me, push me off in the corner. I can hardly hear myself play. And then the people that run this group are now focusing on these young men, which that's good. I think one of them is good, and one of them was there. So there are God's people and the devil's people, and they do silly things. But anyways, this was something I enjoyed, and now they had sent an enemy in there who was blocking me, and and they should be able to go too, but I'm not saying that. But they were like getting most of the attention and stuff, and so like here was someone that was nice to me I could talk to that was just kind of blocked, and then they needed rides too. So before this couple even given me a ride before, but now because the young people were there, they couldn't give me a ride anymore. So then I stopped going. Once I got my free guitar, I have never went back. But I want to. I do think, though, if I went back, that these guys would be there again. Some of them good, but if there's one enemy, they'll play real loud, they'll take all the attention, so I won't even get to talk to the people running the group, is what I'm saying. Did I go to Crime Stoppers? I tried to talk to a lawyer. Yeah, I think I did. They did nothing. I stopped at some law firm. Woman wanted to help me, and then it's in a different county. We can't do anything. So there is no charity for someone like me that is harassed, abused. Lawfare being used against me because it's in a different county. The charity can't help. So, but God allowed this. They know, the devil knows this. It's why they use these loopholes to attack in a certain way. They file it in their county, knowing I live 100 miles away. I don't have a vehicle. I can't get any assistance because all the charities have to operate in the same county. I went to the gym. So the Kingdom of Darkness, and my throat is really sore. They just drugged me and made me sick. Kingdom of Darkness hasn't been able to get me too much. Now they're trying something new. They put hairs on things, so when they give me a gift, they curse me. I'm not taking their gifts. So now they put their hairs on stuff that I touch where you don't even really see it. And if I touch it or move it, then I get cursed as if I had taken a gift. So then they know what lockers I use, and they put hairs on like the key lock of the locker. So when I opened the locker door, I was cursed. And then they put hairs on the toilet seat. So even hovering, if you accidentally touch this hair, I almost touched it, then I would have been cursed. They're doing this at the gym. And then there's a machine where you can sign up for massage chairs. They put hairs on the keypad, on the number. So when you type to enter, and I typed around it, but then I almost got cursed because they put hairs on the keyboard. And then I told the guy that works there, oh, there's hairs on this. Then he got them. But this is what the witches do. They come to the gym and they put hairs on the toilet seat, hairs on my lockers. So when I open the door, I get cursed. Hairs on the keyboard. So when I sign up for a massage chair, I get cursed. This was new. Also saw this at the soup kitchen. They put hairs on the outside of some of the cups. So when you get a cup, there's a little hair on there. You don't really notice it. Now you're cursed. God has trained me well. But the curse was never much. But it was like letting me know, you can even be cursed from this. There was military agents at the gym with gray hair. They were here again. I hadn't seen them in a while. When I tried to join the National Guard, they showed up after that. But then I saw some there again. Then the soup kitchen on Monday had a board meeting, and they'd moved the tables. This wasn't a unique thing. So something is going on there. There was a woman spy waiting at the gym. This is kind of out of order, because if I remember something later, I write it down. So, food. Oh, CIA man, MK Ultra. Maybe instead of saying CIA man, or C8 clearance, maybe I should say MK Ultraman, because that actually describes him better. MK Ultraman. He said I was right about the bike. He tried to sell it to the bike shop, and it was a bait and switch. They offered this amount, and he got there, and then it was like less. And they were selling, so he was going to sell it and get a men's bike that was cheap for like $100. He went there and he said they only had $100 bike and it was all rickety. I said, there, yeah, because I had a really nice one that was smooth, that would last a long time if the tire was replaced. And it was easy for him to get on with his health problems. But he didn't want, so it wasn't that he didn't want it. It's that his loyalty was to these criminals that are not believers. They're disbelievers. And, but this was an opportunity. So had he done the right thing, God would have blessed him. But instead he chose to do the wrong thing. But anyways, and he was like, you're right about the bike. I went to sell it, and then they offered me this price. I get there, then it's lower. But he sold the seat for $25. I could have sold the seat for $25. It's like, this was a Brooks seat. It was worth $250. Seriously. And he sold the seat, and he said, that's okay, because I'm going to make more off the bike. I'm like, okay. I don't remember what I said, but it's like, I'm used for judgment. And so they actually are part of a bike ring, a bike theft ring. So the men at this men's homeless shelter, they run a bike theft ring where they steal people's bikes and then they fix them up or switch parts around and then sell it on the streets. And so this bike that I gave them is actually worth so much that it might, because normally the bikes aren't enough. The police won't do anything because it's not enough value. But the bike I gave him was worth enough that transaction might make it a worse crime. So they also got the bike man bike later, and that has a tracker in it. So the police and everything, I don't know what's going on. But I saw that the man I gave the bike man bike to, he worked for a narcissist. The narcissist took his key, and then he couldn't get his bike, and then one day it was just cut off and gone. And he was upset. And then I saw that same bike later with new gears and stuff on it. I saw it on the other side of town. Well, they might not know, inside of that frame, deep in that frame, is a tracker. And that is going to, when the police get that bike, it is going to show them everywhere that bike went, who it went to. And it's going to expose the bike theft ring. And I said the bike theft ring, this is very important to crack down on, because this is where a lot of the crime is. For the drug addicts, the murderers, they're paid to stab people, paid to key people's cars. They're involved in drugs, probably murder. Yeah, probably. And the bike theft ring is the way they make money. So it's not that this is an $80 bike. This needs shut down, because this is how they pay. This is how the narcissist pays his people and sends them out to mess with people. I could have worded that better. Man, my throat is not good. They drugged me again, and I just realized why. I realized why. It's almost Pentecost, and so the spiritual warfare has been really intense. Mount Calvary came after me again. They sent the people from Mount Calvary, which is like on, well, it's not way far away, but it's a different church. They came to this church. I was going to a different church. So the Mount Calvary church, which they renamed Redemption Church or something, the people from there that tried to kill me, they came to this church I just went to, where they have a free meal once a month, and then they attacked me there and drugged my food. So now it's like, is this strep throat or something? Because my throat is really hurt. They don't want me to speak, so I gotta speak. So CIA, MK Ultraman. Okay, MK Ultraman did not say sell the bike yet. He did later, I believe. Bike light was broken. Stop home. Right brake was not working. Someone, I think, tampered with my bike again. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I was going to this music charity that evening. This is like 4 miles away or 5 miles away. I was biking there. and it was going to be dark, and so my bike light wasn't working. I had to stop at home, get another light, and then my right brake wasn't working, so I had to go this way and back with one of my brakes out. So I believe someone messed with it, but maybe it was just witchcraft. I told people about it. So I got my guitar because I had been to 5 of their lessons, and I picked an acoustic electric so that it could be plugged in if I needed to perform with an amp. But I don't really like. I thought I liked the guitar, but then when I tried it, it didn't sound great on someone else's equipment. But actually, when I tried it at this church, they hold these classes at a church. It sounded pretty good, but it wasn't great. Well, when I got to someone's house and plugged it in their equipment, like I don't. It's just not my thing. So whatever. But it's still useful. I just leave it at the music man's house. But like I was playing this at the group, I liked how it sounded. But when it's plugged into the computer, it just, I don't know. Just whatever particular setup there is, it's just not ideal. But maybe with some tweaks, it'll be great. I don't know. But I normally, the way I play is different. Because if you exert too much force on an electric acoustic, then you get a lot of feedback. You get a lot of extra sound in there. And the guitar I normally play, I gotta squeeze the strings hard, because it's hard to play. But if I try to play like this on the electric acoustic, then I get a bunch of random extra noise, and it doesn't sound good. So when I went to I biked like 4 or 5 miles to this church where they have a music therapy healing charity, and then they moved me all the way to the side by myself. Of course, I wanted to plug it into the amp, but the other people were playing and using, they were being loud too. I was moved all the way to the side by myself. There was guys there watching. They were recording me. So I was practicing alone, and they just gave me a sheet for, they got a printout sheet for me to play, and it was Dust in the Wind. This is when I first started playing Dust in the Wind. And then actually I was kind of figuring it out and how to read these numbers and stuff. And it wasn't bad for just starting. And so the spies they sent to watch me as they cursed me. So they cursed me so that when I came in, people didn't like me. It's like I was spiritually, gross or something. They didn't want me. And they were busy. They looked at me, didn't like me. And they sent me, this is a huge room. They sent me all the way to the other end to sit by myself. And then there by the front, there were some new people I'd never seen. I recognized were spies. I don't know if these are covens or CIA or what. They were sitting by the front. And they had phones to record. And they were watching me. As I'm all the way by the back by myself. They were recording me. So this charity, it lasts for an hour or so, and then people hang around for a while after. So at the end of this, they get their stuff and they leave, but I'm still there. And as soon as they leave, the witchcraft is lifted, then the people that run the group come back to me, and they're like, "Oh, sorry to ignore you so long," or "We were busy," or I don't know. They didn't say that, but something like that to let me know. They're like, "Oh, sorry, we're kind of ignoring you over here." And so as soon as these spies left, then the people that ran the group, it's a really nice couple, then they came over and they talked to me and they were happy. And they said, "Wow, you do a great job." Then they liked, they could tell. But they compliment everybody, so they compliment everyone, so I don't know if it's legitimate. But anyways, but it feels good. And there was 2 young men there. I talked to them. And then at the front, this is how I was cursed. They had a tray of cupcakes sitting at the front desk. So someone had bought a tray with 16 cupcakes and sat it there. And then they had the spies there. And they were watching me so that no one liked me. And they made me sit in the corner by myself and no one talked to me. And they were all busy and distracted. And so as soon as these people that look like spies left, then all of that lifted and things went back to normal. And I walked up the front. It's I noticed, what are these cupcakes? Because when I came in, I didn't see these cupcakes. I saw them after they left. And so this was the curse. So there is a halfway house that has a lot of disbelievers there. There are a lot of disbelievers in drug and alcohol and addiction recovery, because when they were possessed with spirits, but also covens like to control this and stop people from really getting clean. I don't know, but they are helping them too. What I'm saying is that there is a lot of witchcraft in recovery groups. And so there's a halfway house, and they run on donations. They don't have a bunch of free money, but they paid to send. They purchased a package of cupcakes and sent them to this charity that's 5 miles or 6 miles away, because they're on the other side of town. They purchased a tray of cupcakes, had them sent to this church that has nothing to do with them on the other side of town. It's actually in a different township, because I was going to be there, and I told people I was going to be there, and they cursed people. When they got the cupcakes, they were cursed, and it made people not like me. But then that lifted, and I got to bring, and I ate a couple, and I got to bring like 6 cupcakes, or like 4. So I ate like 2, and I got to bring 4 home, and I got to eat them. I'm like, yeah, they cursed me. But then after they left, I still got to talk to the people for like, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, and talk to the young people. And then we ate some cupcakes, and I got to bring some home. So thank you. But yeah, this is what they actually need donations. They probably don't have a lot of money. So this was a large expense that was done to get me. They could have used this money for their halfway house. Instead, they sent it to a charity, a different charity that didn't need it, because I was going to be there, so they could curse me. So now I know this halfway house is against me as well. But I don't think I can go there, because I have a home. Even though it's been destroyed, I have a home, so I can't go and stay at these places. But now I know. They're showing me their hand, which side they work on. Are they really for God or not? Because they spent, maybe this tray was $20 or something. Maybe it was $30. They purchased it and had it delivered, and had agents sitting there. They were recording me, they were watching me, they were cursing me. To pay them to do this, if they had to pay these agents, that's not free. They probably gave them $100 to do this too, when they run on donations. So anyways, one of the boys that was the evil one, he actually looked like someone I had met at the Mormon church, and I asked him about it, and he said, oh, someone else mentioned that. So he looked like he was related to there was a missionary at the Mormon church that I later found out was evil, because he gave me this look, and then God showed me who he was. But now he's in a different location, so they sent him out after I knew. So maybe he was showing me that he was evil right before he left. But then there's one of these boys, one of these teenagers, looked like he was related to him. So anyways, oh my gosh, my throat is killing me. I woke up, had a dream, another chosen one. I was in a busy jungle or city. People appear, they're getting food. So this is like in Vietnam or something. Like, it was kind of like dystopia. It's in a jungle, and it's got like military equipment that's run down. People are getting food, and it's kind of like Chinese or Asian food. And, it's in a jungle. It's like, I want to say dirty, because it wasn't like filthy, but it's just like, not in a sanitary environment. And then I was like, all these people are in there. This building, or this thing we're in, is packed. And then I'm getting food, and then I go to get sauce, like a duck sauce or something. And then so this is like a Chinese sauce or something, and my package of sauce is leaking. It's making a mess. So then I squeeze the rest out so it doesn't make more mess. People, enemies, and droids. So even though this isn't a jungle, and it's like there was a war here like 30 years ago, and there's like an aircraft carrier or something that's all run down in the middle of the jungle, and this is inside of this is where they're serving the food, and people are buying the food. And it's just like, it's packed with all these locals that live in a place that looks like a Vietnam jungle or something. And then I'm there, and I order a food, and then my sauce, I get the sauce with my food, and it's leaking. So then, and it's making a mess, so I just squeeze the rest out. And then people, enemies, and like droids, like robots appear in front of me. This is a weird dream. So then Thursday the 26th. So this is February 26th. I should have got a tissue first. Soup kitchen. I'll say MK Ultraman. I've decided a better name. MK Ultraman, Agent. Um, sits down, talks. Then I see China Spy. Um, then the old Music Man was the evil Music Man who lured me to get a guitar case, but really just used it to try to kill me. They iced the tracks or oiled the tracks, the train tracks. So then I had a really bad bicycle accident. So, anyways, MK Ultra Man, um, um, he was saying more things like he was just saying things that would let me know he was actually understanding some of the information I told him, and he was seeing it in his real life, even though he was sent to get me. He's like, oh, like that thing that I told him, he's like, you were right about that, or oh, I saw something about what you said. So that's good. Maybe that means he'll come around after I'm gone. After I'm gone. There was another man there that was a spy. I told him about the music class. I told other people about the music class. So that's probably why this halfway house had the cupcakes delivered. Because they knew I was trying to invite other people to come. I'm like, you can get a free instrument. But nobody wanted the free instrument. Nobody wanted to come. I'm like, I'll bike with you. No, nobody wanted to go. So it's just me alone again. But that's good, because these people would have probably dragged me down. I'd be trying to be nice and hang out with them. And God's got work for me to do. So, serial killer came in, and this is when he told me he was Azrael. He had his backpack, it had Azrael written on it, and he showed it to me and pointed it out and let me know. So he had his sunglasses on too. Actually, when I saw him before, when I said he ran away, I think I missed which one. Because, yeah, I saw his eyes were bloodshot. That was later. The first time, he was standing outside of the bike rack, and I just walk up to him and I start talking to him. And tell him he can repent again or something. And I'm not afraid. So he's standing there. He doesn't know what to do. Or actually, I don't know if I covered this or not. But I was at the bike rack, and he was there. And there was this period of time when he was sending someone to kill me. And so they were following me, and he would show up where I was going. And so his presence was supposed to scare me. It was a little unnerving at first. But then it started to not bother me. So, like, they knew where the bike was. They have a tracker in it. So, like, I go to a free lunch, or I go here. I go to the library, I go to the soup kitchen. They know. So he was actually following me. And then he'd sit, like, a few tables away within view. So I could see him. And that was supposed to scare me. And then I didn't leave. I just stayed there. And then when I was at the bike rack, and then he was right there, and I was standing, and I said, you said you were going to bury the... And I told him I was going to give this bike to this other man there that was homeless and worked for the narcissist. I'm going to give him the bike. He's going to get rid of it. He was trying to keep me from giving this bike to him. But before then, I told him that, and he's like, oh, I want that bike back. And I said... And then I told him, oh, you said you wanted to bury this bike under the ground far away. And I said this loud, and I know they have cameras there. I don't know if they record audio, but they got this. And I was saying, like, the things he like, whispered stuff in the library to me to let me know he wanted to kill me. And so then I was right there by the bike rack, and he was right next to me. And I said, oh, you said that you wanted to bury this bike under the ground far away. So I already said I'm giving it to this other person. So, and then he was kind of like, and he doesn't want me to say this. So then this is possibly recorded. But anyways, so Bike Man was there. This is when he let me know he was Azazel or Azrael. It was written on there. I think actually this says Azazel. I said Asriel, something. But I told him so he said it's an angel. I said, a fallen angel. So he's saying like the Grim Reaper works for Jesus and is good. And I said, that's a fallen angel. Then I just keep eating. He's a couple seats down. MK Ultraman sitting across from me. Serial killer comes and sits a couple seats down. So I told MK Ultra, I said, oh, they even sent a serial killer to try to get me. And then he's like, oh, here's the serial killer. He's like, I know this man. He's like, oh, I know him. And he tells me about like how when he was at the mental hospital, they did some bad things to him. And he feels bad for him. And so I told him they tried to kill him. So then he's like, oh, I thought you could see light and dark. So then he just sits there, doesn't tell this man it's bad, and he watches him sit a couple seats down, and I don't get up. And then I basically say, oh, I said, no one can beat me. I just basically say when God gives you power, then you can defeat anyone, because God can possess you. So I was basically saying some things kind of. I'm not trying to brag, but like, here's the serial killer. He's been trying to intimidate me by showing up where I go and just standing there and with his glasses on. He's been doing this and following me around, and then I don't leave. And so now I was sitting across from MK Ultraman. Serial killer comes and sits 2 seats down. So I already was talking to MK Ultraman a lot, and I said, we're only friends. And we were talking a lot. And I told him, they sent a serial killer to try to get me. And then so serial killer tries to sit down. He's like, oh, and then he saw. And then he knew this man, and he liked him. So this is ridiculous. But, so that's when he told me, and I informed him that you actually have a fallen angel, and that is not a good angel. So there was another man at another table, and he's like, tell him, Jennifer. It's like he didn't know this. But he said he's got a grim reaper. It's good, and it brings souls to heaven. And I said, what does Azazel do? Teach war? But I just kind of like said a couple things like bashing Azazel and said he was a fallen angel, and then I kind of ignored him, and he said a few other things and I ignored him. So this was good. Rebuked him. I rebuked him. So he said something else, and he did the goat horn. So he said something else at me, and then he did the goat horns, and I said, and I rebuke you, and he got up and he left. He got up and he left. So this was cool. I should have recorded this because I can't remember. I just wrote goat horns rebuke. So I told him that Azazel Asriel is a fallen angel, and I made fun of some of the things that he did, because we've all heard on YouTube what this angel does. And I saw, he does, makes war. So anyways, then he does the goat horns and said something else, and I said, and I rebuke you. And then he gets up and he leaves. He gets up and he leaves out the door. It's like, okay. Then I'll say guitar case man was there, and he told MK Ultra and China Spy. Oh, okay. So I've talked to the China Spy quite a bit. I've talked to MK Ultraman quite a bit. And they are aware, this is like when I met him shortly after I had the bike accident, because Guitar Case Man said, I got a guitar case, meet me at this soup kitchen at this day. And then they were stationed there, and they did something to the track so I'd fall. And so then I told him, so China Spy knew this, and MK Ultraman knew. And then he was also sitting a couple seats down on the other side. And I said, where's my guitar case? And he's like, yeah, and so he didn't know. And the China Spy saw this and he liked it. He laughed. He was like, ha, because he saw that, he's like, that I had defeated this man just by saying, where's my guitar case? And he's like, I don't know. And then he also had to tell me what had happened to him, where he got his karma. He had slipped and fell, and he had to go to the hospital, and I think he had to get surgery. So I did have a very bad fall. But at the end of it, I just got a tiny little scar. It's like a millimeter. Maybe 2 millimeters. It's very little. And I'm fine. But he had to go and get surgery at the hospital and was in pain. And I don't want this. But he should have thought twice before he tried to murder me. Let's see. He had arthritis. He needs to get cortisone shots. He slipped and fell and was in the hospital. So I think, so this is what happened. I just wrote the date. I think on Monday is when I was supposed to meet him at the soup kitchen to get the guitar case. He said he slipped and fell on Tuesday. The next day, he slipped and fell and had to go to the hospital. I had a schedule to meet with the Mormon missionaries at 5:45 at the McDonald's. So at this time, MK Ultraman is hanging out with me, and I thought, we're friends. I've already told you a lot, and I told him from the beginning. I said, I'm not available. I told him the first time he saw me, and then after said, I'm not available. We can be friends. And then I thought this was clear. But anyways, I had to meet with the missionaries, and I said, do you want to go? So I invited MK Ultraman, and he was going to come with me to the missionaries. Now, keep in mind, this is actually a homeless veteran. Let's see how the Mormon church embraces a homeless veteran. Well, these are good missionaries, but maybe they didn't realize when I invited this man, and he had a shirt and it said veteran on it, and he was expressing interest and actually said he would want to go to their service and wanted possibly a Book of Mormon, but they weren't very interested in him. There's a type they have. It's somebody with an income and somebody with better clothes. But anyways, I'm going to let you guys know that the band for my meeting, and they didn't know I was bringing someone else, because I didn't. I was at the soup kitchen. I was scheduled to meet the Mormon missionaries on my way home. So the soup kitchen closes at 5:30, and I had a meeting scheduled at 5:45 because they did not want to go to the soup kitchen. Their higher-ups would not allow them to go to the soup kitchen. So I had a meeting at 5:45. I'm eating at the soup kitchen. I'm sitting across from MK Ultraman. And so I'm like, oh, you want to go? I've got a meeting with the missionaries. He's like, oh, yeah. And then he walks down there, and I bike. And I get there first. And I said, oh, there's a friend coming, or someone's coming, and that's okay. And so they didn't expect this. But they might not understand exactly who I brought. Yes, his shirt said veteran on it, but it wasn't extremely apparent. I brought a homeless veteran to you guys, and he doesn't have transportation or vehicle, but no one offered to take him to your church, and he expressed interest in going. And no one expressed interest in helping this man. Now, he would have wasted it. This is what I have learned. You try to help some people, they'll just waste it. They hurt themselves to hurt you. Their allegiance is to the devil that just kills, steals, and destroys, and does that to his own. So anyways, I go to the meeting with the missionaries. There are two men there, and the one missionary's left, so then there's a new one. This new one can see my light, and he kind of trembles. He's kind of nervous, and I could tell he's looking at me. So he sees the Holy Spirit. Some people God allows to see the light. Some of us are carrying the light of God. And so he was kind of nervous and trembling. And I said, oh, this is... I pointed out MK Ultraman several times. And so they talked to him a little. But I could tell they weren't interested in him. They were interested in me. But I brought them a homeless veteran. And this was God's plan. It's like I didn't come up with so God allowed MK Ultraman to pursue me. And he happened to be there. God had him sit across from me right before this meeting. So, and when I asked him to go, God told him, or his devils, or whoever's in control of him, that's okay, go ahead and go. And so God brought the homeless veteran to the McDonald's. And he was treated well, but he was not offered any help, assistance, or any ride. And he said he would go, and they didn't offer a ride. So they weren't interested in him, and they weren't interested in going to the soup kitchen. I kept trying to get the missionaries to go to the soup kitchen, but they wouldn't do it. And so when the female missionaries were there, I was trying to tell them, you should go here. I showed them the address on my phone. And I said, the boys won't do it. Maybe the girls can. But they were sent to hit on me because they're like, she's not taking this guy. Let's send some girls. Maybe she's a lesbian. I am not a lesbian. So anyways, Dan, my nose is running. I was at the soup kitchen. There was a witch there, a criminal man. So... shit, man. They invited me to some woman. I gotta blow my nose. Oh. I'm powering through this. They poisoned me. They got me sick. My nose is running. So they drugged my food again. Mount Calvary drugged my food again. They invited me to a Women's Day event where they do makeovers. They were doing hair and pedicures and manicures and stuff there. And they made sure to tell me about it and tell me to sign up. So then I thought about it. The next day I went to sign up, and they're like, we're all full, and they've got a wait list. So I was way down on the wait list. So this was just to disappoint me, to make sure I knew about it, so I couldn't go. Because if I didn't know about it, I wouldn't care. So they specifically brought a new criminal man in, and he sat next to a witch, or across from a witch, and they told me, oh, this Women's Day event. And it's at this center. The center where my bike pedal was removed, and where my tires were flattened somehow. I thought they slashed them or poked them, or who knows. I don't know how they flattened my tires. But they did it at this center. And they invited me to a Women's Day event where they do makeovers. And they said, oh, you should sign up for this. They were telling me how great it was. Why? To disappoint me. That's fine. I don't need to go to your Women's Day event. But it was later used. So when something else came up I was supposed to do, then they sent me a text like, we got an opening now. But guess what? I don't have a cell phone, so I didn't see it till it was too late. So they actually had my text information, and then I was told about a baptism, a place to get baptized, and so I headed straight from a chicken restaurant to a church where I was getting baptized, and then they found out that I was going to be baptized. So then they're like, "Oh, we got a spot left. You can come in now." But I was biking to the church, and I didn't see their message. So they were using this to stop me from getting baptized, and to disappoint me when it fell through. So they probably always had that free seat, but they weren't going to invite me unless it would stop me from doing something God wanted me to. So I think God wanted me to get baptized. So anyways, what's going on here? They also had a bingo day at this recovery center. They try to lure me in with fun things they do, and every time I show up, they like poison me or try to get me or curse me. So the serial killer was there. He patted somebody on the back that goes to this other church service that I don't think is a bad person, but he's making it look like he has alliances with more people. They might not know that he's a serial killer. Because it actually, the reaction from MK Ultraman was like, oh. Not like that surprise, but like, oh. No, that's not enough. It was more like, oh. Like, it was like he didn't know this was a serial killer. But he wasn't really surprised. So he didn't know. So these other people probably don't know either. I know. And he takes them to the park, and he probably dumps the body. There's a big river and a lake. So I know they drained this recently. So if they need to drain it again, they'll probably, when they find new ones, they'll know it's the serial killer put them there. Because he took me to this park, and they've got a lake right there, and then there's this, like, a river right next to it. And so I know that's where he puts the body. They said, well, they drained this lake a few years ago. I said, oh, when they drain it again and find new bodies, they'll know it's Bike Man. Bike Man put him in there. You know, when he was working for Jesus, taking their souls to heaven. Because he told me that. There was a Bible study. So, Pastor Judy, I told her, this is when I told her we're not allowed to eat pork. She didn't like it. Her church was 10 miles away. Oh, they brought in free socks and blankets. I was probably cursed. There was socks with skulls on them. It was like a fallen angel. It was like, that's kind of funny. The church brought this in. Why did I write that down? I don't know. I took them, though, because they were the right size. The witch was angry. These people have been through a lot of trauma. They have had a lot of struggles in their life. And they are upset with God. Horrible things have happened to some of these people. And so, that has contributed to why they do the things they do. And that makes me, I want to help them, but, sometimes I can't do anything. If I'm the victim, I can't do anything, because they're sent to destroy me. But, I would like for them to repent, but it's not by me telling them to repent. That's not going to do anything. But maybe if, I'm nice to them, and then I leave, and then I'm gone, maybe that will influence them in some way. So, Bible study. After this, there was a Bible study. So after the soup kitchen, I went to McDonald's with MK Ultraman and the missionaries, and we talked a bit. And I'm like, I gotta go. There's a Bible study, and I invited them too. But the missionaries aren't allowed to go to any other Bible studies. I would like to invite them to all different churches. Because I said, you guys believe we have to follow the law. Well, there's a lot of Christians that don't. They don't think we have to follow the law. Have you tried to, invite them to your church or be missionaries or go to these other churches? And then this was a new thought to them they didn't consider. Because if you have it right, why don't you go to the other Christian churches? And, I invited them. They're never allowed to go. They're only allowed to read the Mormon approved, they're only allowed to research the Mormon teachings. And they're not allowed to go to any other churches or any other Bible studies. Even if, okay, you have the truth, wouldn't you want to go to another Bible study to tell other people the truth? They don't do it, and they're not allowed to. Guys, think about it. Think about it. Because if you really have the truth and you're trying to save souls, we have to follow the law. These churches don't believe that. They're telling their members they don't have to follow the law. So they need people like you to go and tell them that we do. But they won't. They're not, even if they want to, their leadership will not allow them. And maybe, I think they're more afraid they'll hear something that resonates as truth, and it's not in their church. So I think that's the fear, that they'll lose their people. So, Bible study. Something about Mary Magdalene, power, Catholic Church, 2 angels and two on Ark of Covenant. I don't remember why I wrote this. Oh, Mary Magdalene is the head of the Catholic Church. Bible study on 226. Mary saw the angels. The other people there did not see that. So they invited me to this Bible study, and this is the first time I made it. This is where they do Saturday night church, but they had a Bible study. And so they were covering a woman that was shown things. She was like a prophet, then, I suppose. She was probably a prophet. So they talked about Mary seeing angels, being the first evangelist, an apostle of the apostles. So I think they knew I was coming, so they wanted to cover this while I was there, so that I would like their Bible study. But I do care first and foremost about the truth. So if you're teaching lies too, it doesn't matter. You're not going to win me over by catering to certain things that I might appreciate. I appreciate that you don't want to exclude women, but you can't teach blood sacrifice. You can't teach we're allowed to eat pork. And they normally don't have food, but then they had a tray, and it had shredded chicken right next to shredded pork, and you couldn't really tell what was what. So, that was a sign they followed the epistles of Paul, which is the teachings of the Antichrist. I understand, because blood sacrifice is the opposite of what Jesus taught. Old Covenant versus New Covenant, Acts 2, Acts 10. So staying with a non-kosher tanner, of course, this was not, they were not slaughtering in the Jewish approved way. Acts 15:19, rebuttal, we are witness, not convert. Well, this is a lot of just things that I learned at the Bible study, or they taught me. So, the Bible teacher made the devil's horn sign. He did this with his hands during this. And I find they do this on purpose. MK Ultraman did this. He does this sometimes too. It's not in the beginning, but especially the last few times I saw him or really talked to him, he was doing this while he was saying things. Like, he wasn't looking at his hand, but while he was saying something, he would do this. A Bible teacher did this while he was speaking. And he talked about the laws in the Old Testament. And this Bible teacher said he is grateful he doesn't have to follow the law anymore because of the new covenant. And he did the devil's horn sign with his hands. But before that, they talked about Mary Magdalene, a female, being the apostle of apostles. So you see how they're trying to win me over. It's like, oh, the woman is the highest ranking apostle. Now, blood sacrifice, we don't have to follow the law. So this clearly, no. Let's see, not elevate, okay, we're not to elevate people, but the Holy Spirit or God works through people. So a witch from the other group came in, and she had cat earmuffs on. And and she was getting real emotional and was crying during the service. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. Because she looked a little silly with the cat earmuffs on. But this is the one, she's tampered with food. And I don't know if she's put deadly things, but I think she has put fecal matter in food. I mean, this is the type of nasty that I think this witch does. Now, I don't know. But I think she's tried to kill me too, probably. But anyway, she just invited me to another Bible study. I got a raincoat for you. Guess what? I couldn't go because I had leftovers and I was getting rained on. And I'm like, I was almost home and I'm like, oh, there's another Bible study. Well, guess what? It's pouring down rain. And so I'm not going. I'm going home. But she had something waiting to give me a gift. I'm sure had I taken that, it would have been cursed. Who knows? Probably cursed to get a car accident. Because they are sending everyone after me now. Trying to get me before Pentecost. And maybe Pentecost is my restoration, like at the end of the cycle. Because I was invited to my first church on Pentecost. And that was the beginning of my training. And then Pentecost comes around again. And maybe that is restoration. So I don't know. It's got to be something. Something is happening. There was a man in an elevator. He also went to this Bible study. I got food poisoning after I ate there the first time, and he said he did a bad thing, I did a bad thing. He admitted to me, and I knew. He tampered with this meatloaf, put God knows what in it. Maybe he put pork in it. Maybe it wasn't cooked all the way. Maybe he went and poured toilet water on it. Because this is what these witches do. And I got sick after I ate this. So, and now I don't want to eat there anymore. So they just invited me to another Bible study, and I did not go. And this is God too. They gave me, I said, this food was so great, can I get some to go? Because I had a lot left over. They said, we can give you one to go. Like, one to go. And they didn't really want to give me one to go. But, then I had to go put it in the fridge, and I was soaking wet, and my coffee spilled on me. Like, all this warfare was just used. Intense warfare. And then, at that point, like, I'm not going back through this rain. I'm not biking 2 more miles in the rain to go to a Bible study. And I remembered it as I'm going down the hill. So that, had I changed my mind, I would have had to bike up the hill again. No. So, like, God lets me know to stay home when it rains. So, it was not raining when I left to go to the community meal at the church. But it was rain. So, when I was going there, it was not raining. But when I left there, it was raining. And then I did not go to the Bible study. So, this was God's protection, I believe. They pray for others. They lay their hands on people. They pray. There's a 90-year-old man who worships Jesus, but this man speaks in tongues, and I don't get the feeling like he's good. I think there's arrogance and stuff. I don't feel, and I could be wrong, but I don't feel like he's a good man. He goes to this Bible study, and he did not recognize me. I carry the Holy Spirit of God, and he did not, like, the way I'm wearing my hat, if I have a dirty t-shirt on, then he doesn't want to talk to me or look at me or approach me. But he wants to speak in tongues and, like, give his advice and have people respect him. But that's fine. But it was just kind of like the feeling I got from the way that he was, is that he was an evil man. Normally, the evil people look like they're good. So this would be an evil person that was evil enough. They looked like they were evil. Because, like, a lot of these witches and warlocks actually look like good people to me. But this one was a man in the church praising, worshiping Jesus, and he looked evil. So, like, God shows me so many things. Like, you can't judge, like, the way they dressed or what they say. It's what they do. So, condescending, looking down on others, then that is of the devil. The next day was the 27th. Okay, this is at 1 hour, so I'm going to make a new recording. I have switched over to my low-res camera so that I don't run out of space on my computer.